Well, we checked in with Tony Hargraves at the start of the Euros to take a look at how it might all play out. Well, we've reached the business end for those on the east coast of Australia, 5 a.m. Monday morning, Spain versus England. Back-to-back finals for England. They were the host 3 years ago when they got beaten on penalties by Italy. This time they take on Spain, a nation that broke through and won their first World Cup in 2010 and have obviously been building back to a position of strength, and now obviously a very good chance to lift more silverware. They won an epic semi-final with France. It was a terrific game, and England obviously getting through against the Netherlands, who have had a bit of a bridesmaid sort of story about them for quite some time. But Tony, thanks for jumping on again.
Thanks to having me back again, Darren. I've been eating a lot of humble pie this month, mate. I potted Gareth Southgate, and now they're in the final. I potted Harry Kane and said I thought he was cursed. I potted Spain, and now they look like world beaters. But I did say in our first chat, Darren, that I suspect England will fall at the final hurdles on penalties. So I'm hanging on to that at the moment.
There are a few things that we obviously did mention. The lack of goals. Obviously, we said that VAR would play a bit of a role. 114 after 50 games. So, yeah, we haven't had quite the number of shootouts that maybe we would have had in the past.
No, I did think I called there'd be about 143 was my estimate on the tournament. To have 114 with one game to go is well short of what I expected. And I don't think there's been an overly large amount of ruled out goals. It's probably around 10, which is what I'd factored in. So it's just been a really low scoring tournament where I feel teams have tried their best to not lose rather than be proactive and try and win. We did mention that in the pre-tournament chat that the first round was all about not losing, but that seems to have carried through the whole tournament.
We'll look at England and Spain in a moment, but obviously the VAR call England their opening goal. They were down 1-0 against the Netherlands in the semi-final. Their opening goal came via a penalty, and then a good Aston Villa boy, Ollie Watkins, finished the deal for them in the 90th minute. But what did you make of that call? And obviously Gary Neville and Ronald Koeman have spoken a little bit about it as well.
Oh, I think it's just one of a number of horrendous VAR decisions we've seen over the last couple of years, but this one really meant something. Dumfries put his foot up to block the shot. Kane strikes the ball, catches Dumfries' foot on the follow-through. The ref's right there. He sees it clearly, but then the VAR decides he has to make a name for himself. And then I feel the ref bottled it by not staying with his original call. And you mentioned Gary Neville. He's a former England defender and has forgotten more about football than I know. And he says it was a disgraceful decision. And of course, the Netherlands manager, he was never going to be happy with it, but he just says VAR's ruining football. After watching, these video reviews for a couple of years, I have to agree. I would like to see it kept for offsides, which has been brilliant at this tournament, and the new AI technology and goal line technology. But you can't keep going over every little incident in the box in slow motion, looking for the tiniest foul, or we just end up dispensing with the referee and let the technology control the game. So I agree with both of them. I think it was horrendous. And having a look at Twitter, or X as it's now known, I think a lot of England supporters, Jamie Carragher as well, a lot of them said it was no way should be a penalty. But a lot of people have said you see that all the time in the field of play, and they're normally given as a foul. So, yeah, it's very contentious, but I certainly don't agree with it.
Yeah, technology across most sports was originally designed, I think, to fix the absolute howler of a decision, not to, find a technicality in a referee's call that is otherwise not wrong. You see it in cricket and tennis and all sorts of sports. So, at a big stage of a tournament, obviously the Netherlands are going to feel pretty aggrieved. Looking at the path of the two sides, Spain, they've slowly been picking off the best of Europe. They've beaten Italy, Germany, and France throughout the course of the tournament. And that semi-final against France was electric, particularly in the first half. But what have you made of their passage through?
Yeah, I'll just touch on Spain, but just finally, Darren, that the VAR is there for clear and obvious errors, and there wasn't one. So
Correct.
that's all I'll say on that. Look, Spain have looked really fluent, and that goal from Yamal, like the kid's 16 years old, I mean, that was superb. Their one concern has to be the form of their captain, Alvaro Morata. He's just not firing at all. He's really disliked by the Spanish people. They really don't like him at all. And he's even come out and said he's going to retire from international football because of the disrespect he gets, and move away from Spain. But just before the tournament, he had pledged his future to Atletico Madrid. I think he's going to reverse that, and I think he'll just want to get out of there. But look, Yamal and Nico Williams on the left and right, they're the future. And looking at them against Trippier and Walker, that's going to be really exciting. It's going to be brilliant to watch. I think we'll see a bit more like it was with France and Spain. You'll see the end-to-end stuff. These teams aren't going to sit back and just try and play for penalties now. Spain didn't panic when France scored, and they hit back really quickly with 2 goals and then just controlled it from there. But to be fair, England didn't panic either when the Netherlands scored with that screamer of a goal. Spain, have been behind and come back before. So if either side goes behind here, it won't be panic stations. They'll just stick to their plan. But I just think Spain, currently, the way they've played this whole tournament, they're just going to have too much for England. But I'll explain more of that when we get to England if you want my thoughts on them, which I guess you will.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, for them, it's been forward connection. We spoke about the lack of goals. Well, England were expected to score plenty. It's been an issue throughout the event for them, obviously getting past Switzerland on penalties, and then the game against the Netherlands, where obviously a very good strike from Watkins in the 90th minute, getting them through. And I guess it's that little bit of class and magic that they've seemingly lacked throughout the tournament, when they've done a lot of things pretty well. But just getting that finish, if they can replicate that, then that would obviously give them a pretty decent chance.
For sure, Darren. In our pre-tournament chat, we said England had the best squad on paper, and that's why they were favourites. But until yesterday, hadn't put a decent 90 minutes together. They've been really lucky. Until yesterday's game, they hadn't won any of their past 4 in 90 minutes. And as we discussed, these things can be more about not losing. Mm-hmm. They're just relying on individual brilliance rather than the cohesive flowing link-up play we're seeing from Spain. You look at that screamer of a goal from Bellingham, saved them in the group stage, and then Saka saved them against Switzerland with his goal. And it seems they just keep going behind and having to fight back. And then yesterday, Ollie Watkins comes on, 90 minutes, saves them again. I can't see any way back for them if they go behind against Spain.
Yeah, and as you say, I mean, sometimes in sport, if teams keep dodging bullets, that obviously they ride the wave all the way through, but at the same time, you can't keep having that fall that way. You can't keep digging yourself out of that hole, and luck will run out eventually. What's your prediction for how it will play up? Obviously, it'll be written up and online over the next couple of days, but how do you anticipate it playing out?
Well, I'm in a bit of a precarious position because my heart says I think Spain are the better side and they're going to win, but our pre-tournament bets, we've backed England to win it and we've laid Spain. We need England to win to be correct. But I've been potting Gareth Southgate the whole time, and he's gone from having beer thrown at him and being booed in a couple of the games, and most of England are demanding a change of manager, and now they're on the brink of the first tournament win since 1966, and this will be their first ever final away from England. They lost at Wembley to Italy, of course, 4 years ago, but this is a first for them. They'd love nothing more than to do it in Germany. They were far the better side in the first half against the Netherlands, but then it all got, when those forced changes were made, it really blocked up the middle and made it very difficult for both sides. He's got some big decisions to make around Harry Kane. Yep, he's a captain, but when Ivan Toney came on against Switzerland, they looked a lot better, and he set up Kane for the winner. And then Ollie Watkins comes on for Kane, had one chance and took it to get him to the final. He runs in behind, and against Spain, that may be a better option because they're very good defensively. Does Luke Shaw play? Will Southgate stick with Trippier and bring Shaw on second half again? If they play like they did in the first half, we should see a few goals in this. It'll be flowing and open. If they go behind, they'll have to chase the game, and it will definitely open up then. I guess, look, I want to tip England. I've got a British passport, so I suppose I have to cheer for them in this one. But Spain have been so impressive. It's hard to see them losing. So, but look, in 4 major tournaments in 8 years for Southgate, there's been a World Cup semi-final in 2018. He made the World Cup quarterfinals in 2022, and the Euro final in 2020. So I can't pot him. But look, I'm going to go 3-1 Spain. And if it does get to 90 minutes, then England will lose on penalties. That's the call.
Well, depending on how the book looks, if we're on England and laying Spain, we've got the opportunity to hedge on the exchange and maybe create a book where if you back Spain, you can cover all bases and have us in a reasonable position. But Tony, thanks for jumping on, and enjoy the final. Should be a cracker.
Always a pleasure, Darren. Thanks. Looking forward to it.
What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.